What's up, everybody? Waiting on some people to join us, and we will start talking in a few minutes. We're going to be discussing what's going on in the auto industry and the trends we're starting to see. We're starting to see trends with people rationalizing things and actually trying to adapt to this ever-changing market and what that's going to be looking like going forward. So we're going to chat about it in just a few minutes. I got a special guy coming on to chat with me. We lost Bonnie. I don't know where she is. Hope she's okay. Hang on. What's up, baby brother? What's up, baby brother? Can you hear me?
Hey.
How you doing, my man?
Good to see you. You already on live now?
Just went live. I was scheduled to go live at 10 with Bonnie. We can't find Bonnie, so the show must go on.
Welcome to show business, brother.
I love it. I love it. So
what's up?
I see you still got your platinum albums up.
Yeah, they make me put them up, man. They make me put them up.
So here's what I was going to talk about today, and you might have some insight on this. So welcome everybody that's joining us. But so here's the thing. The market is ever changing. Housing industry, automobiles, financing, buying cars. What we're hearing now is people are starting to rationalize how they can afford a car. So remember when 100,000 miles used to be that was the end for units for cars? You know, after you hit 100,000 miles, you were done. So now, you know, people are like, well, the cars are lasting longer and we can't afford to get the new one. So let's just finance the 100,000 mile car for 5 or 6 years. I think that's going to have implications down the line that people can't see right now.
Like what?
Like the cars are going to break. You know, even though everybody thinks they last longer, do you maintain your car religiously?
I don't know. Everybody's different, but I mean, shoot, man. You know, with a lease, I just wait till the thing broke down when I had a car.
Well, yeah, you lead into what I'm talking about. It's like, you know,
breaks.
People have to stop looking at what they've done for the last 10, 15 years and actually letting new information in. Like you didn't lease a car until what, 2 years ago? Because you flat out said you got sick and tired of the car breaking down all the time. And it's like, I'm looking at this economy change and looking at the price of vehicles going through the roof. And now people are doing it again. They're going and buying these cars and financing them for a long period of time. They don't maintain their cars right now. So, you know, you do a 5-year loan on a car that's already going to have issues, and you've got to start looking at better options for yourself. That's all I'm saying.
How long I don't know how long cars, man. You know, you're in that business. People 100,000. I don't know. Are they have negative equity after that time? I don't know.
I mean, it's a crapshoot, man. You know, who knows what a car is worth after it hits 100,000 miles? You can look at the blue book. You can look at the market. I mean, if you're looking at it today, it's really good for people that have cars that are old and used, you know, but I don't know what's going to happen 2 years from now. Hi, Bonnie.
Hello.
I had to bring my brother in because we couldn't find you. You okay? I'm glad to see you're safe.
Yeah, I'm fine. We'll talk about it later. I didn't realize we were going live, but here we are. This is nice to see you.
Hey. I love what y'all are doing, helping the community understand cars, which none of us think about. We just think about it when we need it. We don't have a plan for this stuff.
Yeah, well, that's true. It is interesting because they're such a big expense and so necessary. That's what a lot of people do. It's like, wait, I need a car now.
You need like a cup of coffee, right?
Yeah.
I think the industry plays on us with that.
How so?
I don't know. Every time I drive down the street, they got cars all out there, big signs on it. This is the $10,000 less lot side. This is the 20. I mean, they just pull us in on that stuff, you know.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's what's we like to say. That's what's different about us. That we're not playing on your emotions.
I like that.
We're talking about the money, and how this is good for you.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
I like
Bonnie,
it too.
I was just trying. I think what I'm trying to say is very hard for people to understand. I'm like, look, the cars are lasting longer. The market's incredibly high.
Mhm.
People are forced to buy $100,000 car, $80,000 financing for years, and they think that's something that's going to work out. And I struggle with that. I like, guys, it's time to look at different things. Look at leasing. Look at not buying a car and just keeping your car and maintaining it until you can afford the proper amount.
Yeah, that's an option that I think people often skip over, that there's an idea that at some point the car is not worth fixing. And that the way we look at that is that if it's going to cost more to fix than the car is worth, not necessarily a logical way to look at it. That it may still be cheaper to fix the car than it is to buy another car. And it's certainly cheaper to fix the car than it is to buy another old car and finance it until, long after it's still running well.
Yeah. What are you seeing in the real estate game, Chris? I mean, what do you see people doing that with the houses because the prices of the houses are so high that they're like, well, I'll just buy this one that's, older.
So the problem with us, they can't get financing for older houses. Like, we take all the risk buying houses that are not financeable. But if you're buying a house in this market, I'm just gonna pray for you. I feel for people, man.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be buying in this market. I mean, everything's over. My spirit goes out to anybody that has to buy a house, including me. I have to buy a house in the next few years. So I mean,
you're baby number 3, low Preston.
Yeah, it's rough out here, man. The real estate is through the roof. I mean, you talk about 30% appreciation in some places. Wow. Yeah, it's really $100,000 house is going for 130. $500,000 house now is going for 600,000. $1 million house is going for 1.3. It's crazy out here, man, with that.
Wow.
This coast to coast. It ain't just where I'm at.
Yeah, it is coast to coast, which I think is very, very surprising. The auto industry is the same way, Chris. Trucks are up 27%. 27% for used trucks.
I heard you can't buy a truck. People calling me for trucks. I'm like, I'm a real estate guy. Why are you calling me for a truck? People calling me for a damn truck.
I just read that used cars were up 10% in March. Not March, April. 10% in 1 month. Yeah. But this would be a good day to bring on a financial planner, because this just shows up something about money as a general thing, that when you're planning for your life, there are things that you're not going to be able to predict. Like, you don't know if you're going to need a bigger house or a bigger car at the very same time when cars and houses are increasing in value, and it's going to cost a lot to buy one. So overall, the amount, like the way that you plan your whole financial strategy, has to take that into account. Now, I'm not qualified to talk about how you do that, but this is just showing us that after years of prices being relatively stable, they can shoot up all of a sudden, and maybe your life is timing so that you need something at this particular time.
It's rough. That's true. That's a rough one. I'm trying not to think about it.
The Dave Ramsey thing on used cars right now is very difficult to, I don't hear much from him anymore. I know he still has a loyal following. I know he's still doing stuff. I actually like most of the stuff Dave Ramsey talks about.
Me too. Yeah.
But when, you're talking about getting a car for somebody and you tell them they need to pay cash and they need a truck.
Yeah.
What do you do at that point? A 10-year-old truck is still selling for over $20,000 with over 100,000 miles on it,
Scary stuff, man.
And then we have to say, oh, but Dave Ramsey is wrong in this case. And it's hard to have the credibility to do that. Dave Ramsey is very well known.
That is true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Bonnie showed up, Chris. I appreciate you jumping on. If you want to talk with us, that's cool. If not, I'll holler at you later.
Good seeing y'all.
Good to see you.
Love you. Peace.
All right, Bonnie. What topics do you have?
What else do I have? I have Toyota today. So the thing I like to talk about is hybrids and EVs. So Toyota's strategy is a little bit different from the strategy of most of the car makers. A lot of them are shifting only to primarily EVs, electric vehicles, and they're not making the smaller ones. interestingly, there's actually a law in France right now that makes it difficult to make smaller ones that would be affordable to people, but that's a whole other thing.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but what Toyota is doing, I was reading an article by Toyota this morning. Their strategy is to use the hybrids as a cashier, as a bridge.
Yeah, bridge.
Yeah, as a bridge between the gasoline vehicles and the EVs. So that's why we're seeing so many hybrid vehicles coming out of Toyota. And it's actually, I still think it's not a bad idea that they do get better gas mileage, and their whole point is that they've saved millions of tons of pollutants from going into the atmosphere by selling these hybrids that get much better gas mileage, and they're much more affordable right now, and you don't have the problem of having to charge them. That is I really like that strategy. And we've talked about before that the Sienna, if you want a new Toyota Sienna, the only way you can get one is a hybrid.
That's right.
So that makes me wonder, because what happens is this: people come in and they say, I want a Highlander. And I say, do you want a hybrid Highlander or do you want a gasoline Highlander? And they look at the prices and they say, oh, I think I'll go with the gasoline because it's a little cheaper. And I'm wondering if what Toyota is going to do is do more of this Sienna type thing where they have only a hybrid. And so if a person needs a particular kind of car, they like a particular kind of car, it just comes that way. And they don't have to make that choice between that $2,000 or $3,000 for the hybrid engines, hybrid, whatever you call them, hybrid systems.
Did you pay attention to it? They were about the same price. So what they did is they had in 20, they had the V6 motor, and when they've redesigned the vehicle, it's a 4-cylinder hybrid with plenty of power. I mean, it's sufficient. I've got a couple of clients that have them. They say they're really peppy.
Yeah, they are.
But that's how they kept the price the same. But from 20 to 21, the price was not really that much of a difference. And all of them are hybrids.
It isn't, which is interesting because I still see people choosing the gasoline one. I don't know. Have you had a different experience?
You can't choose a gas one. They don't have one.
Not for a Sienna, but for a Highlander, you can.
Oh, for the Highlander. I was thinking Sienna.
The Sienna, you have one choice.
I've sold one hybrid. Well, the cost is a factor, and I don't think the hybrid is available in every trim level.
No, that's definitely true as well.
The upper end. So, yeah, that's an issue right now.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if that's their strategy, is to try to move as people become more, as there's more pressure to get better gas mileage. I'm wondering if that's going to be their strategies, just to, if you want this car, just like the Prius or the Sienna, you can only get it in a hybrid.
Well, you got to think about what they're using the Highlander for. I think it'll pull 3,500 pounds or 5,000 pounds with the V6 motor.
Yeah.
So people have to make a lot of different. Why are you getting that vehicle? It has a 3rd row seat. You need to get kids in it, and you probably have a pop-up camper or something like that.
Right, but Toyota knows that, and a hybrid is not an electric vehicle. It still has an engine. It still has a gasoline engine. I wish I had studied more, so I would know if the hybrid one, how much it could pull.
I'm Googling it right now.
This is amazing. It's amazing how you can just I want to know something, so I'll ask my phone.
3,500 pounds. So that's a pop-up camper. Yeah, a pop-up camper, small boat, personal watercraft like a jet ski, stuff like that. But let's look at that. Well, that's the hybrid.
Right.
The gas motor, let's see. I think that one will probably pull more. 5,000. So, when you're looking at, they're different, the way they're built, they're just different. And the recommendations from the manufacturer are going to be different. So 3,500 for the hybrid, 5,000 for the gasoline motor. That's another reason why people pick the gasoline motor.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That does make sense. But it isn't the only reason. It's not that people, I mean, again, this is my experience, but it's not that people are coming in and saying, I need to pull something, and so thus I need the gasoline engine. It's what they're saying is it's a little too expensive. I can get another trim level, or I can get the hybrid. And so they choose the better trim level.
And what you're saying is that this is a plan by Toyota is to continue to make these hybrids until you just don't have a choice, or you're saying that it's just going to keep going like this?
No, well, I'm speculating about whether or not they'll remove the gasoline engines. I don't know. That's just my imagination running away with me. But they are in fact focusing. This from the article. What they're saying is that they are in fact focusing on the hybrids and the plug-in hybrids as well as a bridge between their gasoline engines and the electric vehicles. Because electric vehicles, it's a little ways before we get to everybody having an electric vehicle, that we still need to build the charging stations. We still got to figure out where we're going to get all the lithium. All of these issues are still out there. So that doesn't mean that we have to wait until all that infrastructure is in place to get better gas mileage. And Toyota is saying that they're using the hybrids as a bridge.
It looks like 35 miles to the gallon combined for the hybrid Highlander. I mean, that is a massive amount of gas mileage for a vehicle that weighs that much weight.
Yeah.
I think it weighs over 5,000 pounds. So, 21 and 29 for the gasoline motor.
Yeah. It's a
versus 35. I mean, to me, it's worth it, the hybrid. But if you need to pull something, you have a problem.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. That's and it's not a good time in history right now to suggest that you also have an old truck, because they're hard to come by.
Any truck you have is worth much more money than you could ever believe.
It's true, but don't plan on getting another one if you sell it.
It's just like the housing market. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like the housing market and the car industry are closely tied together. I've always watched the car industry, like the pulse of the economy. Like if cars are selling, then people are doing other stuff. It wasn't something to predict if I was going to be fine, but it was just like I could always see it. Like the cars are selling, people are spending money. Like for instance, even in 2008, we were still selling cars, but they weren't selling any houses.
Right.
Houses just kind of went off the face of the earth. And right now it's like they're just parallel. The housing market, like if you sell a truck that's a 2012 with 100,000 miles on it and you get $25,000 for it, and then turn around and want to replace it with a truck, you're probably going to have to spend 60.
Right.
Which I don't know if people are even prepared for that, but they've got to start looking at it,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just how it is right now. So that's true.
But, these types of times, Bonnie, cause people to just put their head in the sand.
Sometimes, yeah.
Well, here's what I mean. Like if you've got a truck that you think is worth 20 grand and you think, well, I can never buy a new one, is 60 grand. Well, what do I always talk about? That truck's not going to last forever. That's worth 20,000.
Right.
So if you don't do anything else, it's time to start making a plan. Like how much money do you have to put away in order to pay cash? How much payment can you afford so you know how much down payment you need? Instead of waiting and reacting to the truck just stopping.
Right.
And then it's $65,000 at that point.
Yeah. And that is what happens a lot. And I guess that brings me back to my point. I mean, there are just times like when you think about how are you going to plan your life with your money, you have to take into account things that are not right in front of your face at the moment.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that we talk about it in this office all the time that there's not enough planning that goes into the vehicles.
Mm-mm.
You should know 3 years into the life of your car, how much longer you're going to have it, what you're going to do next, what your next move is, what you're planning on, so that it's not something you have to react to. But the majority of the time we're dealing with reactions instead of planning.
Yeah. And planning, I would just want to note that planning doesn't mean that you are committed to, like, it's not written in stone. If you say to yourself, I'm going to keep this car for 4 years, and then at the end of the 4th year, you love the car, nobody's going to force you to get rid of it.
I think that's cool to say. You don't have to do it. You can have a plan and don't have to execute it,
But if you decide you don't love the car, or God forbid the car is totaled, then you have a plan. Then you're ready. That's all that means. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean there's no test at the end. Like, it's okay if you don't follow the plan exactly.
Like, there's nothing wrong with having a bunch of cash stacked up that you don't have to spend on a car because you still like the one you have.
Exactly.
The problem arises when you don't have the cash stacked up and the car stops running.
Right.
And all of a sudden, it's an emergency that derails everything else.
Exactly.
That's all I'm trying to say as well. And I think the market is. I think that what you're hearing in my voice is I feel bad for clients.
Yeah.
that need trucks. They need bigger SUVs. They need stuff. The market is like, if you could have purchased a truck last year, you can't purchase one now. You know, they just have gone up. And so I feel bad for those folks who need that stuff. And what happens? How do we help them figure it out? How do they pivot? How do they think this through so they can make themselves a plan on what they're going to actually do?
Right. Right. Exactly. And that's all we're nagging about. Is that,
yeah.
And we're happy to help. We're happy to help with planning. If you have questions, ask us the questions. Advice is free.
Yeah. Did you hear my brother? He's like, man, I feel for anybody having to buy a house right now. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the exact same thing.
It is. Yeah. That, although I find the whole idea of having to buy a house is a little foreign to me. Like, I've never been in a situation where I really had to buy a house.
Yeah, that's true. You know, when I bought my first house, I didn't have to. It was just something I wanted to do. Yeah,
exactly. I didn't have to buy this house. I just had to find a way to not get kicked out of my rentals. But there were other ways to do that. I mean, it's not that I was doing anything wrong. It's that I was afraid they would sell it while I was living there.
Oh, and then it would come to an end.
Yeah, exactly.
You had a plan. You thought about that. Like, instead of reacting to it, you made a plan.
Right. I was really just acting for the sake of my cats. I had 3 elderly cats at the time, and I didn't think it was fair for them to have to move all the time.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry about the confusion on the live this morning. I said 10:30. You said you couldn't do it, and then I was like, okay, let's just do it at 10. And then I lost.
Okay, yeah, I had an appointment at I don't know. I had an appointment, which is why I wasn't looking at my phone. So then when the appointment was over, I looked at the phone, and here we are. So can I end with my entertaining story about the baby chickens yesterday?
Yeah, I would like to hear about them.
Okay, so I get home yesterday, and it's still the afternoon, and I go into my backyard, and I have 5 small chickens. They're all 8 weeks old, and I can only find one. And she's very upset. She's like running around the yard, chirping the lost chicken sound. So it turns out that there was a cat in the yard. I saw the cat. It was a strange cat. It did not have a chicken, but I couldn't find any of the baby chickens. So
you didn't see any feathers?
No feathers, no evidence that anything had really gone wrong. So I thought they probably squeezed themselves out of the fence, and now they're out in the neighborhood somewhere. So I go walk around the block looking for baby chickens. I come back. Now there's 2 baby chickens in the yard, and they seem much more content, though they're really kind of depressed. They're not making the lost chicken sound, but they're like sitting together. So sad. And so I keep looking. I knock on the neighbor's door, and we hunt through his yard, and then we find another baby chicken who's been hiding, but now she's making the lost chicken sound. So I found her. Then as I'm bringing her back home, I see the last 2 coming across the street. I don't know where they were.
Oh my goodness.
So all the chickens are safe and sound, but they're all in the garage today because I don't want to have another chicken hunt today.
You know what might have happened, Bonnie, is maybe they ran away from the cat.
I think that's what happened. I have been training them to be afraid of cats. Even when they were little chicks, I would let my cat into, he couldn't get them, but they would be aware of him so that they would learn to be aware of predators. And so now apparently they're so terrified of cats that it causes them to like run across the street to where my neighbor has these big dogs. I don't know what they were thinking, but they're chickens. So nobody ever knows what chickens are thinking.
Well, hopefully you've made some remedies to the fence so they can't do that again, and we won't have to have that episode again, right?
Well, like I said, they're still in the garage today. Nothing happened.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm with Nick. Wow. That would freak me out. Chick running across the street, and there's a cat. I mean, that's like, no, not a good day.
The cats are not usually a threat to a grown chicken, but they're small enough that. But the other chickens were around. The one chicken that was with them, and I wish I could have gotten a picture. It's like all these big chickens, and then this like miniature chicken, with their little head stuck up, squawking at the top of their lungs, terrifying the cat. I don't think the cat would come back, but that's that. But in for the little ones, the cat is a threat. So I guess they had become aware of that by my careful training of them.
Well, I'm glad you found them all, because we would not have been happy if they were missing still.
No, it's very sad when you invest all that effort into small chickens and then they disappear and go live with somebody else. It just seems like a betrayal.
Well, get us some pictures for next week's live, and we'll come up with another snazzy little topic. And you guys just let that stuff sink in. What are you going to do to not react to your car situation, but actually make a plan? Like Nick keeps his cars till the wheels fall off, but
that's fine.
He also saves money. He does things, so he plans for it, and you don't have to spend the money until you're ready. But you gotta do something instead of reacting right now in this market is insanity. I mean, it's just, if you have to buy something right now, it's tough.
It is. It is. Yeah. This is why we plan.
Yeah.
So we're ready.
Yeah.
All kinds of crazy things. Car prices going up, chickens escaping from the yard. You just never know what's going to happen.
At least we don't need plywood.
That's right. That would break the bank.
That would break the bank.
Yes.
All right. Well, go enjoy your lunch meeting, and we'll come back with another topic for next week. But we need to put more planning into this so that when we go live, it's all ready to go. And we're getting better at it.
We are getting better. I think this week is a little bit crazy.
Yeah. It's all rainy. Ugh.
Well, there's just a lot of other stuff going on and that. But next week, we'll be ready.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining us, guys. Nick, hi, Sam. You guys have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.